Hello everybody, my name is Michael, and in today's video what we're going to be doing is this right here. So if that looks interesting to you guys, please carry on and watch the video. And also one more thing before we get into the video, if you enjoy what I do here, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out and lets me know you enjoy the video. But with all that out of the way, let's get into that video. Okay, so to start off our vampire we're painting up here, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to do her hair. So I'm trying to follow the official artwork here of Sandesyl, who is a character from the Tyranny of Dragons adventure book for Dungeons and Dragons. So I want to try and copy it as much as I can, as this is a miniature of her. And she has this big black mohawk, but I wanted to introduce something a little bit more interesting into the mohawk here, having the black, and I'm just coming in with the deep blue, just dry brushing it just a little bit to give it a little bit of a bluish tinge on her mohawk here, to give it a little bit of extra color and something interesting to look at. Okay, so now I have her hair painted up. I'm going to come in now with some underdark grey, and this here is a purplish grey, and I'm going to use this for her skin, and this is going to be to give it that sort of undead appearance, as she is sort of this raging vampire through the streets and murdering people and going crazy. And because there is a vampire here, I want to try and get a little bit of undead look in the skin. And as you can see, because I'm concentrating on this model, it's completely out of focus and you can't see anything here. But just to letting you know that I'm just going in with the base layer here with the underdark color, which is a off blue grey color, and that's going to be the base for our skin tone. So now that we have the base tone of the skin painted, I'm going to come in with an actual ordinary skin color here. This is barbarian flesh, and I'm going to be using this for the victim that she has dragging along the ground here, that she's taken someone's life and is showing off. It's sort of like, the model is sort of like her captured in the street, seeing her walking past with this body. And I thought that'd be pretty cool, and so I'm just going to paint it up just sort of a generic sort of skin tone here. So going with barbarian flesh is sort of a good base coat for our skin tone here, and just of course being careful and intricate. It's got a lot of little holes and tears in the actual skin, so I'm just going to give it an all over base coat so I don't miss anything. So now I've given everything a good coating in our skin color. I'm going to come in with dragon red now, and this is going to be for all the insides of our victim here. So I want to paint this, you know, just sort of, you know, it's been sort of freshly attacked, and I want to give it that sort of visceral sort of look. So that's why I'm coming in here with dragon red, which is quite a vibrant red, and it's going to be a great place to start with and look like it is a fresh set of things that have been torn away from this poor unsuspecting victim by this vampire here. Then once we have that all complete, I'm going to come in now with dark stone. This here is a very sort of dark brown greyish colour, and I'm going to be using this for the bases of her cloak, because you know, she's stalking around the streets picking off these victims, so I want to give her sort of an unsuspecting cloak colour, but I want to keep, as I said, as close to the artwork as I can. And I looked up some artwork online. I couldn't actually really see her cloak in it, so I just wanted to keep it as sort of this unsuspecting cloak, because she wants to try and hide herself amongst the streets when she's going out to hunt down victims. So I think just going with an ordinary plain brown or black or greyish cloak would probably be a good idea here if you were painting up a similar sort of miniature in this way, and that's what I want to go for with the story I'm trying to tell here. And then once I'm doing that, I'm also going to come in with another brown here. You could totally use the same brown if you were going to do a painting in the similar sort of way, but I'm just going, you know, with a generic sort of man he's picked up off this vampire's picked up off the street to attack. So I'm just going to go with some ordinary sort of brownish hair color here. You could easily use the same brown that I used for the cloak. I wanted to, of course, separate it out. I like to try and separate things out as much as I can so you can clearly see, especially on the tabletop from a distance, of what each part of the model is. Now that we have that victim pretty much completely painted up for now, what I'm going to do is move back onto her, and what I'm going to do now is come in with a bright blue color here. So like I said, I'm trying to follow the official artwork that she has in the adventure module, which is the Tyranny of Dragons, and she has this very sort of bright blue shirt on, as well as like a purple dress. I want to try and recreate that here, and this is actually something interesting, because if I was doing a vampire like this, I'd probably keep it all really dark, and I wouldn't go sort of bright like this. So this is giving me the opportunity to use some brighter colors here where I wouldn't in this sort of same scenario. And as you can see too, I'm also focusing too much again, and my camera is out of focus and you can barely see what I'm doing, but hopefully you get the gist of it. Okay, so as I said, that she had a blue shirt, I should say, not a t-shirt, and a purple dress. I'm going to come in with purple dress here, and as you can see, it's out of focus again, and I'm completely off camera and you're just seeing my fingers. And I actually realized while I'm doing the voiceover here for this footage is my camera was actually slightly, I have it on, you know, a stand here, and I noticed that a lot of these shots were completely out of focus and focusing on my fingers, and that was actually because the stand itself had just dropped a little bit down too far, and that's why it was, and I hadn't noticed until I do the next step, which is because I sort of took a break and came back to the painting, and then when I shot the next bit I actually noticed that I was completely out of frame. So what had happened is my tripod stand had actually just tilted down a bit, and that's why everything here is super out of focus. At least in the dress you can sort of see a little bit of it there, and we're just of course doing the base coats with our purple. Okay, so with our next step here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some gunmetal, and this is because she has these pauldrons on her shirt. Now, I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be part of her shirt and I should do it in the blue, or if this should be armor, but to me this looks like armor, so I want to paint it up as bits of armor. She's got these nice little shoulder pads, and of course it adds a nice another bit of color into the miniature as well, and gives you something more interesting to look at on the piece. So that's why I went with the gunmetal here, because I wasn't sure. It's a little bit hard to tell. Some of the artwork has it with armor, some of it doesn't, so it's a little hard to tell what I want to go with. So I thought I'll go with what looks interesting to me, and adding in that extra bit, and especially having that little bit of metallic there, gives it something interesting to look at. Okay, so now we have all our base coats complete. What I'm going to do now is come in with a wash, and I'm going to be using some blue tone for this, and for this I'm going to be using it for over top of her skin. I want to give it that bluish tint, just adding something a little bit more interesting to her skin, trying to give it that sort of undead appearance. Well, trying to anyway. We'll see how it comes out in the end, but hopefully it'll really help give something a little bit more interesting, because like I said, I want to give her sort of that undead appearance and make her look really different and interesting with skin. Also practicing a different sort of skin tone color as well, and what colors would work with this, because like when I'm painting this, I'm going along with it as I'm painting and coming up with the ideas. I'm not planning this out sort of beforehand. I'm going, oh, maybe this will work, maybe it won't, but the thing is just try and be brave and test these things out, and you can always repaint over it if you need to. And I thought I'd go with something a little bit more interesting, go with a bit of a blue wash over top of it instead of like a flesh wash or a brown or black to just darken it down. I did want it to look a little bit more interesting, so I think the blue wash will help with that. Then once we have that blue wash completely dry, what we're going to do now is come in with a black wash, and this here is dark tone, and I'm going to give this pretty much a coating over everything except for the victim that she has in her hands there. I want to give everything else a coating. I want to give her hair the coating, everything except for that skin. So just giving it a good overall wash, and I'm going to be a little bit heavier on her actual clothes. I want to have them quite dark because I want to try and sort of show it as if she was on the street from a distance, so I want to keep the shadows reasonably dark. So giving it a good overall coat here, but making sure that it doesn't pull where you don't want it to, especially on that skin that we've painted up and it has a completely different wash color, so we don't want to interfere with that. Then once we're given all of that a nice dark down wash with our black, I'm going to come in now with flesh wash, and I'm going to use this on the victim that she has in her grasp, and this is just going to go all over. I'm not going to worry too much about trying to separate out the red. I'm not going to worry about a red wash here. I want to add in a bit more of that fleshy color, so giving it a good overall coat with the flesh wash here will hopefully all tie it together and make it look a little bit more interesting into those parts of the body. Then once we have that completely dry, we're going to move on to some highlighting now, and I'm going to be using some dark sea grey for this, because like I said, we're going for that undead look, and I thought if I go with a lighter grey, it's sort of a in between like a bluish grey and a neutral grey, so I thought that might have been good for the highlight colour of her skin. And I think it looked quite good. A little bit hard to see on camera now because I'm going back to the not focusing on what I'm doing here. The camera's at the right height, but now I'm not focusing, so that's great. So as you can see, it's just going to be picking out all of those sharp points on the miniature and where the sun would naturally hit to give it that nice vibrant colour that we have with our grey. And because it's such a lighter colour to it, it should hopefully look like it's more in the light. That's the hope I'm trying to get out of it anyway. Then once we have her skin all painted up, what I'm going to do now is come back in with our original colour we used for our dress, which is the purple here. This is a hexed purple, I believe, that we have here, and I'm going to use it as course as the highlights. And because this purple is so vibrant and really nice, actually, I only just recently bought this paint. It's my first time actually using it, and I'm really happy with the colour. As well as that, also very happy with the coverage of this paint. It goes on really well, and it's not thin, so that really helps make highlighting a lot more easier and much more of a breeze. And of course I'm going through and picking out the top parts of these folders, and since I gave it such a heavy wash on the clothes specifically to darken it down a lot more, so it's a lot more in shadow, it's giving a nice punchy effect. And then just like we did the dress, I want to do the shirt that she has on as well, this time coming back in with our original blue, which is very bright as well, which I'm really happy that I try to follow the official artwork here, going with these super bright colours. Is not something that I would usually do for this sort of scene, like I said before, because she's supposed to be this sort of stalking vampire in the dark that attacks in the shadows. I wouldn't probably go this bright with the colours. I'd probably choose a lot more sort of browns and neutral tones to try and make it look like she blends in. But going with these colours I think is really interesting for this sort of scene, makes her stand out a lot more and just makes the piece overall a little bit more interesting. So something to take away with some of my other miniatures. I don't have to make everything such sort of neutral coloured, and to try and blend in with this environment I can have a crazy vampire that attacks with these bright colours. And then what I want to do is come back in with some kobold skin. Now this is a brighter skin tone, and I want to use it to paint up our victim and pick out all of the highlights on him. We don't want to forget to maybe a victim that's dragged along the ground, but we also want to put a little bit of attention onto there, just giving nice quick overall highlights. And I'm a little bit too close to the camera, as you can see it's a little bit blurry, so that's a little bit unfortunate there. But with that, this is going to be the final step, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of some blood effects and that to the base, but we're going to show that into the final images with our glamour shots. So let's get into those glamour shots and see how she came out in the end. And with all that complete, we have finally finished painting up Sandesyl from the Dungeons & Dragons miniature range by Gale Force 9. So I hope this video has been interesting for you, whether you want to follow along with what I did here, or just use this video for inspiration in painting up your own miniatures. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.